to a comfortable seat, you may or may not need props. Sometimes it's nice to have a little lift underneath the sit bones. And I thought we would just start seating for a few minutes just to center ourselves. So a few deep breaths. You may also choose to close your eyes and focus on having a nice tall spine, relaxed legs, relaxed shoulders. There may also be some benefit for you today to have an intention. So before I do any practice, I always grab a book. Today it was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I flipped through it and I've dog-eared it and read it quite a few times, and so I have my favorite passages and favorite things I like to focus on. And that just gives me something to think about while I'm holding the postures. Something to practice while I'm holding the postures. So that might be a benefit for you today too. And it can be something really simple like a mantra or a word that you repeat. It could be an image, it could be a quote or an idea from a book that you like. All of these things will help to deepen your practice. And again, it's nice to have something to keep your mind busy with while you're holding the poses. Again, today we'll focus on holding the shapes for about 3 minutes. Some will be a bit longer, some will be shorter, depending on what we're working on. So today we will be doing some work with the wrists and the shoulders. So know that if you have a wrist injury or a shoulder injury that you may need to modify a fair amount. Very easy to do one half of the pose and not the other. So you could take out the wrist or the shoulder work and still be working with the legs. So, welcome and thank you for joining me. I know it's a crazy world out there right now, and I think this practice in particular is the one that will have the most benefits for us. Help us to stay present. So, hands to knees or thighs, close the eyes. Nice tall spine. Give yourself some time to focus on your intention. Allow your breath to come in and out through the nose. You may choose to add a soft ujjayi breath, which is a slight constriction of the back of your throat. It'll sound like ocean waves, or some people like to think of it as Darth Vader. It's subtle, though. It's not like the same ujjayi breath that you'd use in a powerful flow practice. It's quieter, it's softer, and it simply is something to make just enough noise that, again, you can stay focused on it. So similar to your intention. If you have a sound of your breath, you can use that as your guide or your focus, or you can have that in conjunction with your intention. So try to create the sound and be completely aware of the sensations associated with your breath. If your eyes are closed, flutter them open. Try to stay with the rhythmic breathing, the sound of your breath if you can. And our first pose is child's pose. So coming off your seat, I'd like you to take your knees a bit wider with the big toes touching. And I'd like to offer you a variation of child's pose today. If it doesn't work for you, then you can go to the one you may already know with the arms out in front. But if possible today, I'd like you to take your hands back towards your feet. So you're going to bring one cheek or the other down. So the hands go back towards your feet, shoulders come between your knees, and you can bring either the left or the right cheek to the mat. version doesn't work for you, you could do the arms out in front. Or if you have a preference, knees a little bit closer, hands going back towards the feet. So 3 variations to choose from. Ideally, if you can manage it, the knees apart, hands back towards your feet, one cheek down. If you can, switch your cheeks. If it's available, can you take your knees a little bit wider? So big toes will still stay touching, the knees will inch out away from your shoulders, and you'll settle back down. Again, either the versions that you're in, you can take the knees slightly wider. Settle back in, go back to the sound of your breath, go back to whatever you chose as your intention. Whichever version of child's pose you're in, begin to make your way back upright and allow your knees to come back together if they went wide. You can come to sit on your heels. And once you can sit upright on your heels, start to rotate through the wrists. So circles going both directions. And then relaxing the wrists, circling the shoulders. Try to make the circle as big as you can. And again, we will switch directions. And now allow the shoulders to relax. Take your right palm out in front of you like you're making the stop sign. And use your other hand to gently pull your fingers back. So we want to be feeling the stretch along the wrist. You may also feel along the forearm. Release the fingers so that now that they can point down, and pull your fingers back towards you. You'll feel now the stretch along the top of the forearm. Releasing so that you can switch sides. Again, stop sign, pull the fingers back. Releasing, fingers point down, pull the fingers towards you. Releasing your hand, interlace your fingers, take them out and away from you so that your palms are moving away. Tuck your chin, round your upper back, and then push your hands out and away. Begin to lift up so that your hands are now overlaced be above your head. Reach the palms up towards the ceiling. Make your arms as long and straight as you can. Take a deep breath. And then unlace your fingers. Let them come back behind you. Interlace them one more time. Roll the shoulders really generously. Pull your knuckles down towards the floor. And now squeeze shoulder blades, elbows, and even the palms of your hands together. And if you have the space, take your hands out and away from you. And then release the hands down. And we're going to move into our second posture, second yin posture, which is anahatasana, or puppy pose, or melting heart pose. You may need a little extra padding under your knees, and there's lots of different ways to modify this. Also, if the hold is too long, ease your way out, move around. You can always come back into the shape and join us for the remainder of the time. All right, so we start in tabletop, hands and knees. And ideally, we'd like to keep the hips over top of the knees, but they may move forward sometimes, and know that that's okay too. So starting with the hips over the knees, walk the hands out and away from you. You can decide how far away your hands are from each other. They can be wide or narrow. Again, you'll choose that based on how it feels in your shoulders. And then once your hands are far enough away, letting your chest come down. So this is our melting heart pose. The heart melts down towards the floor. Bum stays up over top of knees. It may be your forehead that comes to the floor. It may also, if you're really flexible and you've got a strong neck, your chin could also come down to the mat or onto a prop. So once you ease your way down, we will hold. If you start to feel any sensations of numbness or tingling in the shoulders, come out of the pose, move around. You can always come back down. You can either re-enter the posture, or you may choose to go into something more gentle, such as your child's pose again. We've got a little bit longer to hold. Begin to lift your head and your chest, and begin to walk your hands back underneath you. Once you're back in tabletop, I'd like you to take a couple of rounds of cat and cow, so that's your spinal flow. And you can move through your spinal flow in any way that you like or prefer. As long as the spine is moving, you can rock forward and back. You can add a gentle hip to shoulder action. And of course, if you'd like a little extra relief, you could come into down dog or any other shape that gives you a sense of release. Our next posture will be coming down onto our belly for Sphinx pose. So lower yourself down when you feel like you're ready to go into the next shape. You can take the time to stretch your legs out long behind you, adjust your hips, and then the hands will come out in front. Important that you lift up through your belly and drag your rib cage closer to the top of your mat so that the rib cage is underneath you and supporting the back bend. And the belly kind of comes with the ribs. So once you get your belly set and your legs are relaxed, arms out in front like railroad tracks. So we want to be mindful that the elbows aren't flaring out to the side. Draw the elbows closer together. And then your variations come from how far away your elbows are from your body. So a gentler hold or a gentler back bend, the arms are farther away. You've got more of your body supported by the floor. If your spine is healthy and you like the sensation of the back bend and the compression, elbows come closer underneath you. Shoulders press down and back away from your ears, and the crown of the head reaches up. So we're always creating length in the spine. It's quite a strong posture for the upper body. So you're pressing down through hands and forearms. You're pressing shoulders down and back. And those actions are what create the compression on the spine. So you are in control of how much compression you create. And then of course we'll be holding. If during the hold your neck gets really tense from having this reaching up action, know that you can hold the shape, you can hold the compression in your spine, but allow your head to nod yes or no, and you're still holding the shape. So settle in, and we'll hold here. As you continue to hold the shape, just take a moment to notice what's happened in your bum or in your glutes. So if you find that you're really tightening through your glutes, you're tensing, adjust your posture so that you can let those muscles be more relaxed and soft. The heels can even splay open away from each other, really relaxed legs. And try to focus the attention on the spine, creating the compression of the vertebrae. The muscles are also working quite hard by pressing down. So if you need a break, you lower down, you move around, and then you rise back up and you continue to hold. We're almost there, just a little bit longer. To come out of the shape for release, I'd like you to lower your chest down, let your elbows flare out, and now take your hands back alongside your legs, palms up or palms down, your choice, and one cheek to the floor. Switch your cheeks and focus on taking fuller, deeper breaths. And so start to lift back up. And now your hands are going to come off your mat. So I'll show you from the front. Similar posture, now we're moving into seal. So your chest is still being supported by your rib cage and by the floor. Hands come off your mat. And I like to always say, think the hands are going at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Once you get your hands there, again, it's the same modifications. If you want less of a back bend, your hands are farther away from you. If you want a deeper bend, the hands come closer to you. So when you find your 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, begin to straighten your arms and rise up to where you know that you can hold. The chest moves forward, the shoulders move down and back. You can lock your elbows if that's helpful for you. Again, the crown of your head is reaching out, long neck. Imagine yourself like a seal. So from the side, you get to choose. If your hands are farther away, it's a little bit more supported by the floor. As the hands move closer, you rise up higher, stronger back bend, stronger sensation. Same principles as in the Sphinx pose. We want to make sure that we're not gripping with the glutes. The legs should pretty relaxed. Your crown of your head is reaching, shoulders down and back, and then you're holding the shape. So we'll hold here. You're welcome to have your eyes closed. And as you hold the shape, if you need to nod yes, nod no, know that you can. Just a few more breaths here. Continue to pull your shoulders down and back, let your chest move forward, strong straight arms, relaxed legs, even breaths. Out, allowing the elbows to soften, slowly lower your chest back down to the floor, and we'll meet in our rest pose. Forearms across the mat, forehead resting on the forearms. Really important that once your forehead is resting, you focus on taking big, deep breaths. So you want to feel the massaging action of your breath, moving the back body, moving the muscles that support the spine, and massaging out any tension that may have built up from the hold in the shape. You may also feel like you want to rock your hips from side to side. Some people also like to bend their knees and let your legs move side to side. So you've got options here. Ease out any tension that may have built up, and then take a few moments to rest. Lifting your head, bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Roll the shoulders down and back, squeeze elbows together, squeeze shoulder blades together. Firm up through your belly and press yourself up off the floor, plank on your knees, hold here. Keep your belly firm as you slowly let your hips lie back towards the heels. So we're coming back into our child's pose. Again, you have the option of having your hands out in front or taking your hands back towards the heels. Better to keep your knees narrow for this one so that you can allow your spine to round and have a really nice counter pose to the back bends. So if your forehead doesn't come all the way down, grab a blanket or a prop underneath your forehead, deepen your breath, hold in child's pose. Lift yourself up, come back into tabletop. Your choice to either stay in tabletop and do some cat and cow action, so your spinal flow, or if you prefer, downward facing dog. tabletop. And I'm adding in a yang pose just to break up the class a little bit. We won't be here for too terribly long. We're gonna do our dolphin plank. So either from tabletop, or if you're still in down dog, you could make your way down onto your forearms. And they'll have a similar shape to what you had when you're in your Sphinx pose. Pretty close to being parallel. If you need a bit more space for the shoulders, the elbows could go a bit wider. So once you get your hands down, your forearms down, tuck your toes, lift up your knees, lengthen your spine, and press back. So we want the shoulders to move away from the hands. You can have as much of a bend in the knees as you need to lengthen the spine. Send your belly back towards your thighs, and then hold here. Now, whichever version you found your way into, you can start to lower your knees back down. Find your way back up onto your hands and round up into a cat pose. So stretch your back up towards the ceiling, tuck your chin. And then we'll release. You can swing your feet out in front. And we'll start with our legs straight out in front. You can adjust your pants. And you can add a little bit of a lift under your sit bones if you know that makes these sorts of poses easier for yourself. We're going to start in shoelace pose. I'm going to show you some variations. I'm going to start with the right leg bending and bringing the right knee to rest on top of the left knee. So you can have options. You can have the right foot perpendicular or the right shin perpendicular to your left leg. You could also have it tucked back alongside your left hip. You can choose. If this is pretty accessible to you, you feel like you can go farther, you can lean to one side, bend your bottom knee, and bring your feet back. So you may have to adjust your sit bones. You want even weight down through both of the sit bones if possible. So even if you get here, you have options. You can pull your heels in nice and tight alongside your hips, or you can take them so that they're flared out. When you look down, they will look like a shoelace that's been tied. You may have to adjust your hips several times in order to get that even weight. Whichever version you're in, whether you're here or your bottom leg is straight, we're going to add some arms. So right arm will reach up towards the ceiling. Turn the palm to face behind you. Bring it to the back of the shoulder. The other arm will wrap around your back, and you're going to try to find your fingertips. If they're not anywhere near each other, that's okay. Just think pressing the fingertips to the back of the shoulder and the back of the hand to somewhere along your spine. If you can get your fingertips, wiggle and move until you can increase the stretch and the hold. Belly stays fairly firm here. We're rooting down evenly through the sit bones. Nice tall spine. You're welcome to close your eyes. Focus on the breath and remind yourself of what your intention was. Allow your arms to start to release and soften. Let them come back down. Roll the shoulders a few times. And without changing your legs, we're going to go to the other side. So left arm up. Turn the palm behind you so you get a really nice rotation through the upper arm bone. Hand to the back of the shoulder. The elbow is really close alongside the side of your head. And opposite arm reaches back. Try to find your fingertips, or just work towards finding your fingertips. Again, the belly stays firm, the spine is really long and supported. Even weight down through your sit bones. Close down the eyes, hold and breathe. soften, let them come unraveled. Roll the shoulders. And unravel your legs so that they're again extended out in front. And you can move them around a little bit, shake them out, roll your shoulders again, and we'll prepare for the other side. Starting with your legs out straight. Sides might not be the same, so we're going to bend the left knee and position the left knee right on top of the right. Again, you can choose if the leg goes out perpendicular or you pull it back alongside your hip. Again, if this feels like you could go farther, bottom leg bends and comes back towards your hips. You may have to adjust your hips several times, evenly weighting to the sit bones. Sometimes a little prop underneath one side will help. Choose again where you let your legs be, knowing that you're going to be here for a while. Either pulling the heels in tight to the hips or taking them out perpendicular to your mat. Once you've got that, firm through the belly, nice tall spine. Think about pressing down evenly through the sit bones. You may have to press more on one side than the other to get that sensation. And then we'll add the arms. We're going to do our eagle arms. Hands come out in front, palms face each other. You've got 90-degree angles of the elbows. Right elbow underneath the left. You can start by making an X. This might be more than enough. Or you can bring the backs of the hands together. Or you could do the full wrap, palms together. We want to be lining up our thumbs with our nose or with the center of our chest. And the action is to lift the elbows up as you draw your shoulder blades down. We'll hold here. Allow the arms to release, unravel. Take a moment to make any adjustments to either your legs or your hips or your shoulders, and we'll do the other side. So starting back, palms facing. This time right elbow on top of the left. Again, starting maybe just the X, or the backs of the hands, or the full wrap. Line up the center of your nose with your chest and your arms, and then elbows up, shoulders down. You're going to start to release your arms down, let them unravel, and just take a moment before you unravel the legs. So when you're ready, release, let them go back out in front, and you can move around as much as you need to. So whether it's just shaking your legs out, or if you need windshield wipers. So the next movement is for the shoulders. It can be quite intense, so I'll give you permission right now to come in and out of it and to experiment with how far away your hands get from you or how close they get together, and I'll show you here in just a sec. So quite a deep stretch for the shoulders. Again, if you've got injuries, be really mindful. There's always the option of just doing the legs too. So I'll turn sideways so that you can see. We're going to start with our legs in a figure 4 stretch. So right ankle on top of left knee or thigh. And then the hands go behind you. How far back they go is going to be something you can play with, and how far apart they are from each other. So if they're farther apart, it might be a little bit gentler on your shoulders. You might find it more accessible. However, if you can manage to get your hands farther back and closer together, your arms will be locked strong and straight. And you simply walk back until you know that you can hold. Same ideas in all of our postures. Back is supported by a firm belly, the chest lifts, the shoulder blades draw together, and then you lean your weight back into your hands and you hold. So know that you can move your head around as much as you need to. If you need to come in and out of the pose, of course you can. And how far back your hands go and how close they get together is offering the deeper variation. We'll be holding here. Now, for some of you who are maybe a bit more experienced or know that it's a safe option for you, you do have the option of letting your head fall back. Now, this gives a very deep stretch for the front of the neck and for the front of the body. If you've got any neck injuries, probably not a great idea. But you might want to try it and see how it feels for you. It's also great for opening up the throat chakra and the heart chakra. So if you're going to go there, you lift up to your sternum and you just slowly let your head fall back. If your head's gone back, you're going to draw chin to chest. And then your arms might be a little stuck here. So you're going to be really mindful about slowly walking your hands back towards you, maybe taking them wider if they're quite close together, until you can ease your way back upright. And you may want to move your arms around, maybe thread your hands before your legs so you can hold tight to your shin, and then pull yourself up nice and tall, drawing your chest closer to your cross shin. I really stumbled with my words there. I apologize. It's been a long morning. So you can start to release the legs, and you may want to again rotate your elbows, your wrists, your shoulders, move around. And we'll prepare for the other side. So left ankle onto right thigh. And you have the option to go back into the same variation with your hands and arms straight back behind you, or you can lower down onto forearms. So it might be something that's worth giving a try. If you're going to go to forearms, the hands start by going behind you. The fingertips will face towards you. You may need to adjust your hips. And then lowering down onto forearms. So same action. Firmness to the belly, lifting up through the sternum, pressing down through the arms. Again, you have the option of just holding, moving your elbows closer together or farther away, and then maybe going for the option of the head going back. Again, be really mindful if you have injuries. Give yourself permission to alter or change the posture at any time. We've got a little bit longer to hold still, so if you want to make a change, you could make the change and then settle in for the remainder of the time. take your time easing your way out of the posture and coming back upright. And you can get your hands to interlace on the front of your right shin and pull your chest towards your shin. Hold here in your figure 4 stretch. And then you can soften and release the pose. We're going to come now into a butterfly pose, but if you need a bit more movement, cat, cow, down dog, shaking out your legs, take it. And then we'll meet in butterfly pose. So feet are together, knees are wide. You can decide how far away your feet are from your groin, whether you like them wide or narrow. A little bit closer to you might be an advantage so that you can participate in the wrist work. So again, you may need a lift underneath the sit bones. If you've got knee injuries or hip that's troublesome, you may want blocks underneath the knees to support them. So we're going to go into one more wrist stretch. This time the palms come down so that the fingertips face you. And it might take you some time to figure out how that's going to work. So the fingertips are facing you. The palms are down out in front of your shins. Move around, adjust your sit bones, adjust your hips, adjust your hands, and then lean back. So the more you lean back, the deeper the sensation is on the front of the wrists and the forearms. So just go to where you're feeling something and then stop. And relieve the pressure on the wrists. And now flip them so that the top of your hand comes down, fingertips still facing towards you. Move and wiggle, add as much pressure as you feel that is a benefit to you. So think again about Goldilocks. In all the postures, it's about finding the right degree of sensation for you today. We don't want too much, because that can lead to injury or pain. We don't want too little because then there's no change that's going to happen. So find the medium, the middle ground for you, and know that the posture changes the longer you stay in it. So it may intensify or it may lessen, and you simply make subtle adjustments until you can stay at that nice, strong sensation but manageable. So you should be looking at their palms. Your palms are up, fingers face you, and you've got the opposite direction stretched for the wrists and the forearms. Still holding your butterfly shape, relaxing your knees down towards the floor, even weight down to the sit bones. Slight firmness to the belly so you're supporting your spine. If you do need to round your spine in order to get the wrists down, know that that's okay for now. We're almost done. So allow the pressure to come off your wrists and just take a few moments to clench and unclench your hands. You may want to rotate the wrists. They can feel quite fragile. It goes away. So just give yourself some time. Now if you had your feet quite close to you, I'd like you to now take them farther away. Same posture but slightly different shape. More like a diamond between your legs now. You may need to adjust your sit bones or your props. And now this time we'll relax to the upper body, letting the body come forward. Again, it may come onto props or blankets or props, whatever you've got. Or maybe you just let yourself round forward. Hands can support you, or forearms. Allow your spine to be rounded and soft, relax. Let your head drop, and we'll hold here. allow yourself to rise up. Come up to the top, pause. You can use your hands to lift your knees back together. Take any movement that you need. Again, it could be windshield wipers, just shaking your legs out. Do what you need to do, and then we're going to meet in downward facing dog or tabletop. From either tabletop or down dog, we're going to come into our sleeping swan or pigeon pose. So I'll ask you to bring your right knee forward to the outside of your right wrist. Let the shin come down. Find an appropriate angle to your shin and your knee so that there's no discomfort or pain. Walk or slide your left knee back. You can have a quick glance over your shoulder. Make sure your left leg is out nice and straight behind you. And then you can choose if you want to stay on your palms, or if you'd like to come down perhaps to forearms or forearms onto a block or a prop. And then you can hold here. So if this posture is not available to you because of a knee injury, then you can go on your back for your figure 4 stretch. So you'd be on your back, ankle to knee, and then you're welcome to draw it in a little bit closer to you for a deeper stretch. From your pigeon pose, if you're on your forearms, you can stay there, and we'll see if we can make this transition work for us. Bring your palms down and position your arms similar to how you had them when we did our dolphin plank. And we're going to try to go back into dolphin plank from here, but know if that's not available, you could go back to down dog, forearms down, and then into your dolphin plank, or skip it entirely. So if you're good here, you're going to have your forearms down, your hands down, you're going to tuck your back toe, lift your back knee, and then ease yourself up and back into dolphin plank. So you can walk your feet up towards you until you get the right degree of sensation. Again, the action is pushing back. So we want our shoulders to move back, our chest to move back towards the thighs, so we get a really nice stretch in the upper shoulders. Know that you can have your legs straight or legs bent. The action is getting the shoulders to move away from your hands, so moving back. And so your options are to either press up into down dog, or to go to tabletop and then down dog, or back to table. Either way, we're going into our pigeon on the left side. So left knee to outside of left wrist. Find the perfect angle. Shin comes down, back knee moves back, leg is super strong and straight. Option for being on your palms or coming down onto forearms, and we'll hold here. Just a little bit longer. Moving from our pigeon pose again back into our dolphin down dog, similar to our dolphin plank. Hands come down, forearms are underneath you. Tuck your back toe, lift your back knee. Lift the hips, left foot goes back, walk your feet in until you're in your dolphin down dog. I think I was calling it plank before, sorry about that, that was confusing. And press back. So we want to really get into the shoulders. Again, know that you've got those options with your legs. Hold here as best you can. Now, wherever you're at, let your knees come down to the mat. Keep the toes tucked and rise up so that you can come into toe squat as best as you can today. So if toe squat's really a challenge for you, know that you could have blanket or prop between your thighs and your calves. You could untuck your toes at any time in order to ease that out. You could also lift up onto the knees to take a break. So settle in, allow the weight of your upper body to increase the sensations through your feet. I'd like you to take your hands onto your hips, firmness through the belly, nice tall spine. Right arm's going to reach up towards the ceiling and you're going to lean over to the left. So a side bend to your left. Your gaze could either go up, forward, or down. You want to feel the stretch from the hip up the side body and throughout the shoulder. Hold for one more breath. And then rise up and switch sides. Left arm reaches, side bending to your right. And rising up, release your hands back down onto the floor and swing your feet out in front of you so that you're sitting in the middle of your mat. We're going to end with a twist on our backs. So once you know you've got the space back behind you, round through your spine, lower down onto the back. We'll meet with our knees drawn into the chest. You're welcome to rock a few times side to side. And then we'll rock to center. Keep your knees at the chest, but let your arms go either out to the side, palms down like airplane wings, or palms up, cactus arms. Either one that you choose, we're going to use the core muscles to stabilize as we let our knees come over to the right-hand side of your mat. Now you may need a prop to come underneath the knees. You may need to draw the knees closer to your chest or farther away. Again, we're looking for a sense of comfort. Hopefully the shoulders were able to stay down for you. If not, just change the angle of your rib cage and of your hips until they do. And then you can close your eyes and settle in. Now, if both of your knees are over to the right, take your top knee, so your left knee, and move it away from you. So it's going to come off being stacked, and just see how that feels. It might feel stronger, it might be gentler for you. Take a few moments to breathe there. And now keeping your right knee that's on the floor, the prop, where it is, draw your left knee towards your chest. Get your right hand to grab either the left knee or the left thigh, wherever you get a hold of, and now straighten your leg. You may be able to reach the calf or even your foot. And so our top leg now is straight, bottom knee is still bent and on the floor. Left arm is either out to the side or in cactus, and your right hand is grabbing your foot or anywhere along your leg that you can get a hold of. You're going to release your left foot or your left leg. Let the knees come back to being stacked. You may want to turn your palms down for a little extra strength and stability. And you're going to draw the knees back up to center. Once the knees are at center, you can wrap your arms around the legs, rock side to side. We'll go to the other side again, but starting by having the knees at the chest, arms will open out either to the side or to cactus. And with control, lowering your knees to the left. They may need to come onto a prop. You may need to adjust your body so that the shoulders can stay down on the floor. Adjust your gaze, close the eyes, soften. Now start to take your top knee, so that'll be your right knee away from you. It'll be hanging in space probably for some of us, and that's okay. It'll have a different sensation through the hip and through the spine. Make sure it's accessible to you, make sure it feels all right. And then take a few breaths here. And starting to move into the top leg, becoming straight. So draw your right knee back towards your chest. Straighten the leg. Find where your left hand can get a grip somewhere along the foot or the shin or the calf, wherever you can get your hand. Straight top leg now. Still reaching the shoulders down towards the floor. Really nice strong rotation through the spine. And you might be feeling some stretch through the hips as well. And maybe your hamstring. Who knows? Enjoy all the sensations. Breathe. You're going to start to let your right knee bend. Come back so that the knees are stacked. Firm up through the belly. You may want to turn your palms down for stability. Draw the knees back up to center. Wrap your arms around the knees of the shins. Give yourself some time to squeeze and to rock. Now, if you'd like to stay here on your back, you could stretch out long and find comfort so you can spend some time in Shavasana. If that's not available to you today, then I'll at least ask you to rock up to seated, and we'll end with a couple moments of silence and contemplation. up, find a comfortable seat. Relax the legs, relax the shoulders. Rest the hands. Just a slight firmness to the belly, enough to support the spine. Not too much effort. Let your chin drop down towards your chest. Close down the eyes. Allow yourself to come back to whatever your intention was. And if you've lost it, perhaps coming back to the very soft ujjayi breath, so the ocean wave sound as you inhale and exhale. To close our practice, we'll bring our hands together in Anjali Mudra for our hands in front of the heart. And may we all be well, may we all be happy, and may we all live in peace. Namaste, and thank you so much for allowing me to guide your practice. We'll see you on Thursday.